It's Seran Cavdar. I work at Meta Audience Network, and today I want to share a report with you that we published with IDC, International Data Corporation. And in this report, it's actually based on a research that we conducted with 500 gaming developers from all around the world. And I want to share some insights and some examples from this report to talk a bit about how to maximize growth for your business. Well, this is me. So the question is, are you focused on building a great game or a great gaming business? Well, I'm sure everyone is focusing on both. Because, of course, building great games is essential. It's the first step. But for long-term success, we need to be strategically thinking about the business component of the equation. To build a great gaming business, we need to have games in one hand for sure, but also teams who are expertise in the strategic key aspects of monetization, opportunities, and growth. To build a great gaming business, of course, there are many factors, and we can be here talking about it all day. But instead of doing that, we'll just focus on three main areas. The first one will be maximizing monetization potential, following by the evolving acquisition strategies, and lastly, building for the future as well as today. So let's start with maximizing monetization potential. In all honesty, it's been a challenging time for mobile gaming business, from Apple's ATT changes to losing some of the identifiers for mobile advertising. But having said that, the high-value players and the monetization opportunities, they have not gone away. However, because it's challenging times, we know that the businesses, they reassess their business strategies to cope with the new challenges. I just got distracted with the flashes. Yeah, they reassess their business strategies. And with this report, while sharing some recommendations and examples, we want to answer the question of what role should in-app ads play in your monetization mix. This is the first piece of stat, and I'm going to share a lot of statistics today. So the prediction from the industry says there's a continued rise in IAA, in-app ads revenue, and this trend will continue. And the IDC report says the in-app ads revenue will reach 63 billion in 2026. And it shows there is a lot of potential, there's still potential in the in-app ad space, and it's an essential part of a successful monetization mix. 93% of the developers that we surveyed in this report, they say they use in-app ads as a part of their monetization mix, and especially rewarded video, but I'll come to that later. The flip side of this number, it means 7% of these developers, they have not yet integrated ads, but as Audience Network, we expect that number to drop in the coming years. Now that we started talking about ads a bit more specifically, let's see why balancing IAA, IAP, so in-app ads and in-app purchases, is important. Well, in short, gaming publishers, they see higher profitability and longer LTV, lifetime value, when they have the right combination of ads and in-app purchases. Because a balanced in-game economy is a foundational element of your business that keeps you in the business and your players engaged with your titles. Especially in this challenging ad ecosystem world, it's good to have a diversified monetization strategy. If you're, having said that, if you're focusing only a small portion of your players who are payers, so the IAP population, probably you're missing an incremental revenue on the ad side if you were to integrate ads in your titles. But on the flip side of that, vice versa, if you are using only ads, we recommend you to consider including IAP in-app ad purchases in your games. To give you a bit more statistics, most of the developers that we surveyed, they agree that compared to an IAP-only level, hybrid monetization gives better results in metrics like ARPDAU, retention. And actually adding ads into an IAP-only model, as you see, 50% of the developers that we talked to, they saw an increase in ARPDAU, 30% saw an increase in IAP, and 33% saw an increase in LTV. Now I want to give you some recommendations, some action points to capture this monetization opportunity, the growth potential. And all these recommendations will be based on the report as all of this presentation is. So getting a bit deeper into monetization model, we asked the developers in this survey what model works better for them in their game launch, at the game launch. And 62% said the combination of IAA and IAP is the best strategy if they were to meet the ARPDAU and retention targets at game launch. So what is our recommendation? Integrate ads into your title in the early development stages. But what if you already launched your game? We still recommend you to include ads in the mix because 44% of the developers that we talked today said even after the launch, integrating ads in the titles has an increase, shows an increase in the ARPDAU and retention metrics. So overall, mix of IAP and IAA is the best strategy. Better at the early stages before you launch the game, but even after, you should still do so because it will give you positive results. Now going into ad formats, because being from Meta Audience Network, we cannot not talk about rewarded video. We love rewarded video. So when we look at the market, the successful gaming publishers, they all have teams who know which ad formats works with, which titles better. And we asked the developers about the ad formats, their most important ad formats. 23% said native. We all know it works better with the game's look and feel. 23% said banner. We see this mostly in social casino, hyper casual. Only 7% said interstitial, and 47% said it's rewarded video, which is their most important format. Rewarded video, as we all know, gives a positive value exchange. The players get a reward in exchange of the time they spend with the ad. So you give them a report for their engagement with the ad. So it's like a win-win situation. Well, it's not enough to have the willingness to use ads, or maybe you already decided which ad format, but if you do not implement them properly, you might actually disturb the player experience and everything. So the successful gaming businesses, they have teams who know exactly when, where, how to implement those ads in the game. And they use entry points that have value for the players, publishers, and advertisers. So we ask those developers, which entry points is their favorite? In the rewarded ad side, daily mission is 1/3, 32% said daily mission. It's followed by in-game store and home screen. On the interstitial side, they said app launch. Well, we do not recommend that by Meta Audience Network, but that was the outcome of the report. It's followed by between game levels and at key game breakpoints. Staying a bit more with the rewarded video and looking at the retention and revenue side of it, we know that rewarded video is performing better above all other ad formats if we are looking at revenue and retention. Actually, when we talked to the developers in the survey, they said when they integrated rewarded ads into the game, 74% saw an increase in, or the same number of players, 29% saw an increase in LTV, and 39% saw an increase in IAP. That 39% in the IAP revenue, the increase is really impressive, and actually we were not surprised because we know that the former days of worrying if I add ads into my game, would it cannibalize the IAP in-app ads revenue in-app purchase revenue that I have? So worrying about this negative impact of ads on the IAP, those days are over. We actually now know that the players have not only got accustomed to having a choice to watch an ad to get a reward at the end, they got accustomed to that, but actually they started enjoying. And when we talked to the developers in this research, they said the non-payer players, as they watch rewarded ads and get rewards and they started spending more time in the app, they actually become players eventually because their engagement is longer and they start paying. So it's just yet another number statistic to show us the importance of ads, especially rewarded video. Well, combining IAA and IAP is the top priority. And once you master that, there are other ways to diversify your monetization mix. The developers said 31% expect growth in IAA, 38% expect growth in IAP. But then we also see in-game subscriptions, bundled subscriptions, and sponsorship and licensing. So it might give you an inspiration list if you are considering diversifying your monetization mix. Now, the monetization side is over, but of course, we cannot not talk about UA if we are to talk about business growth. So we'll just, lightly touch upon the evolving acquisition strategies. We know that if you're thinking about growth for your business, you are thinking beyond monetization. And the developers we talk to, they have a unified UA and monetization strategy embedded in their business model. And we want to dig a bit deeper into that. This is one of the most encouraging stats that we had from this survey, which says 67% of the publishers now they're building their titles with a unified approach, UA and monetization. And we asked them what benefits they are getting from this. And they said such unified approach makes it easier for them to first create segments, specific segments and demographic groups, and 8% affirms that. And they also said it makes it easier for them to customize monetization based on those specific groups, and 69% affirms that. Well, cross-promotion is another growth strategy. 83% of the developers that we talked to, they said they are using cross-promotion to promote their other titles in their own portfolio in their games. So they acquire players for their other titles using their games. Actually, before going to that, I also want to add, if I can go back, yes. This shows yet another example to show the effectiveness of the ads, because now it means you acquire new players and also you monetize those players through ads. So it brings those two together, and it's an effective way to acquire new publishers, although that's not the first thing we have in mind when we talk about IAA. Well, traditional UA strategies that you probably, I'm sure, listen to in other sessions, this is not my field, but also IAA, there are also other ways to diversify your UA strategies. Because I've spent like 5-10 minutes on monetization mix and diversifying that, we have the same approach in UA, diversify your channels. When we talk to the developers, as you see in each of them, half of the developers said they work with influencers and creators. They create social communities outside of their games. And some of them, actually half of them, they create social channels in their games. Expanding to new markets is yet another approach for UA, especially if you approach your growth potential in your local market. You should consider expanding to new markets. 42% of the developers said they are planning in the coming year. And they are mostly focusing on, of course, US, Canada, Europe, and APAC. To summarize this second part is we talked about unified monetization and growth strategy, acquisition strategy, additional game acquisition levers, and lastly, expanding to new markets. So the last but not least is building for the future as well as today. We wanted to understand how the gaming publishers are setting priorities while they are, of course, focusing on the mobile gaming, building their games there, and building their expertise in that field, but also planning for the future platforms and capture the opportunities there to monetize growth using ads properly. Most of the mobile game developers that we talk to, they are already building in cloud and HTML5, and VR is also now in the bundle. VR is also getting a lot of investment, so there's a lot of interest there. And they also believe ads will work in those platforms as well. Not only building, but they will use ads. And again, HTML5, cloud, console, surely, but also VR. And diversify is a word that we like. Here we are suggesting diversifying your revenue channels outside of in-app ads, IAP, and subscriptions. So the developers are actually exploring the sponsorship and licensing deals, gaming portals, or new app stores that we know there are a few is getting built, expanding distribution partners, and organic discovery. Going back. So I'm not going to go detail into that, but this might again give you some idea to explore. Maybe none of those will fit your model, but maybe some will fit your business model. So it's good to explore to have some diversification. To sum up, we talked about 3 pillars: maximize your monetization potential, acquisition strategies, and building for the future. Just to throw you some keywords to see what we talked to in each of those. In the monetization part, we said build an IAP and a combined approach. Choose ad formats that will not hurt your player's experience, so be diligent in that. Prioritize rewarded video because it gives the best value. Choose ad placements, again, with in mind the player's experience, and choose the entry points clearly. And optimize your monetization mix. On the acquisition side, we said have unified strategy approach for UA and monetization. Expand to new markets and utilize some new game levers that maybe you have not thought about yet. And in the last part, building for the future as well as today, we talked about some multiple platforms, diversifying your revenue, and considering the potential to monetize and grow in such future platforms for your business. So that will be all from me. You can reach more details on this report in our website or Meta Audience Network. Supercharge Your Game would be the hub you would go to. And you also can use some links. And my name is Seran Cavdar. If you have any questions about monetization, you can reach me on LinkedIn or we can talk, and I'm more than happy to help you. Thank you.
Okay, everyone, let's say thank you to Seran. And in next few minutes, we're going to start our panel discussion, Web3 Wonderland, the future of gaming unveiled. And let's welcome our speakers. Miroslav Noskov, Director of Mind Design, Tina Tinbiradze, Head of Partnership in Arena Games, CEO and co-founder of Club Alexander Jorias, Alfreda Barsena, Head of Business Development and Marketing and ReadyGG, also Haider Sharhan, CEO and WellPass, and our moderator will be Vladimir Kostyenko, co-founder in Cubin. Okay, let's welcome them.